Hi, everybody.
Hi, Filip. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, too. Like, I will have to mute everybody because I'm expecting a lot of people, and so we will. But I will unmute mute you when we come to questions and answers and that part of the tonight's meeting. Like we will wait just a little bit more because there are a lot of people who are registered, so I'm expecting a lot of people. So like I don't want to start before people who are decent to come like almost on time will miss things or something like that. So basically we will wait just a minute or something like that more. So I received some advice about Zoom, and these are good advices that I can make automatic like Zoom automatically accept people into room. That I didn't know that, and I will do that for for our next meeting or something like that. Okay. Cool. Okay. To this course is about achieving goals with self-improvement techniques, or how you can really use self-improvement techniques in order to be much more effective than people who are not using it. First, some technical things like I'm going to put some parts of these recordings to YouTube. So if you don't want to be on YouTube, I don't have some really well working channels on YouTube. I have like a very small number of followers and things like that. So you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you don't want to be seen in some of these videos, don't turn on camera or don't volunteer for demonstrations and things like that, because these recordings will be, and I hope in some moment on YouTube, because I want other people to be able to see what we're talking about. This is the first thing. Second thing is how we are going to work. We will work, like I said, this is 4-day workshop, but actually we will have 3 meetings. Our third day will be after we complete our first session with 10 fingers process, with process that we will use for elimination of inner conflicts. After that, for a third day will be basically devoted to your solo practice with technique. And then on the fourth day, we will talk more about it, answer questions, have few additional sessions of processing, and basically wrap all the things up on the 4th day. So basically this would be on Tuesday. So Monday, we will not have our meeting on Monday. You will all have access to recordings. Like I will try to basically prepare recordings in something like half an hour or hour after we finish our meeting. So basically, if you are not able to attend some of the meetings, you will be able to catch up if you want and just watch recordings and practice with recording after with that. I don't think that I have anything else technical about this, so we can probably start. Let me check just if I needs to admit somebody else to the meeting room. Cool. Okay. First, we will talk a little bit just about that whole situation with spiritual people or people who are interested in self-improvement and achieving goals. Generally, you can say that there is some kind of idea that people who are spiritual usually not very successful, or that being oriented toward your material goals can be detrimental to your spirituality or something like that. I really think that this is absolutely not true, that these things are totally not connected to each other, or if they are connected in positive way. So basically that you can be much more successful if you are using, or basically if you are integrating your techniques that you are practicing into your everyday life and goals that you are trying to achieve in your everyday life. That idea that spirituality is some way in conflict with success or achieving goals is based on basically Eastern attitude toward that whole situation. That Eastern attitude is something that was created and that was right thing to do like a few hundred years ago in different countries, like in India or in some Zen monastery somewhere. But if you continue to live your everyday life and you are living basically normal life, you are going to your work, you are having children, you are dealing with different things that are normal part of the normal life, then this is I think this is really wrong idea. There is nothing spiritual in worrying about debt on your credit cards and thinking about some things that you would like to have, some nice house or nice car, or have trips to different interesting places, and not being able to do that. There is nothing spiritual in that. You should, I really believe, you should integrate these two things. Like your everyday life should have benefits from your spirituality or your techniques that you are practicing in your everyday life. What is, I really believe, that really main thing to understand here is that spirituality is, I believe, really about increasing harmony with yourself. There is nothing else in there. Even if you are thinking about, I don't know, enlightenment and things like that, basically at the beginning, while you are not enlightened or you don't have a direct experience of yourself like that, basically you have just conflict between your perception of yourself and what you would like to be your perception of yourself. When you have different benefits that you might have from practicing spiritual techniques, you are all the time, you are just increasing your level of harmony between yourself and yourself, or yourself and outer world, or basically material world that you are dealing with. And because of that, there is nothing spiritual in like suppressing some of the things that you would like to have or experience, or having nice life instead of having a lot of suffering in your life or something like that. You will see that when we use techniques, or basically we will here we will focus really on techniques on elimination of inner conflicts that you have in regard to your goal. When you use them as you should, you will be able to absolutely change your behavior, and really quickly. This is not something that you will need to practice for months or weeks or something like that. You will be able to see results of these processes in 15 minutes or 10 minutes. After we learn how to use techniques, you will be able to know and notice changes in yourself basically right away. In the moment that you are using technique, you will be able to see changes in the way in which you perceive your goal, and you will know that basically all these things are really working when you're using them. So to really understand why your spirituality or your self-improvement practice is or could be your most important, most valuable tool for achievement of your goals, you really need first to understand what is problem for achieving goals. Problem for achieving goals is that although it might not be absolutely obvious, you, at the beginning of work on your goal, you are basically stuck in problem that you have in that area. Even if you don't, even if you think that you haven't worked on that area at all, or for example, you might say, okay, I don't have problem with that. This is first time that I'm trying to create my personal business. But there are some previous experiences that are connected to that area that are making problematic emotional reactions in you connected to that goal. This is not so obvious, but this is really true. Why I say that? Just the fact that you are treating something as goal that you want to work on, that really means that you are in a way stuck and that you are previously in some way defeated in the area that you are trying to achieve your goal. Why is that so? Like, this is so because natural behavior when you are trying to, when you want to achieve something, when you want to have something, natural behavior is basically you realize that you want something, you think about how I can have it, you start taking actions about that. When you are in good shape, you start doing that. Just the fact that you are now treating your goal as something that should be set as a goal. Now I will set that and I will work on that goal. That really means that before that, in some moment, you were defeated. You were defeated in your attempt to have something like that, or such goal, or something similar to that. For example, if you are trying to, you might say, okay, I have never been defeated. I never tried to create my personal business. But actually, in that whole area, previously, you have experiences with money and earning money. And because of that, like, you have failures that are connected to that, and they need to be resolved before you can start taking actions about achievement of your goal, or even before you start thinking about the plan, you should resolve these conflicts that you have. If you think about it, like, if I want to drink a glass of water, if I want to drink a glass of water, I will just, if I'm thirsty, I will go to the kitchen, I will take a glass, and then I will pour water in it, and I will drink water. This is natural behavior when you want to achieve something. If just the fact that now you're thinking about your goal as a goal really shows that before that, in some moment, you were defeated, and because of that, you first need to eliminate conflicts that you have about that goal. If you don't do that, you will have all kinds of problems. And basically, you can say that you are stuck in that situation. You are not able to even to start going toward your goal before you eliminate conflicts that you have about that. This is why your practice, or basically having tools that can deal with these negative emotions, it might be really most important thing that you have about in the area of your goals. Just think about it. Like, if you the process that you will do starts with a really really simple question. The question that you will start with is question that asks you, is it possible to fail? So basically, you are thinking about your goal. You are asking yourself, is it possible to fail or not? At the beginning, you will notice that your answer to that question is most of the time, yes, it is possible to fail. Even if you think about it just analytically, you will say that is natural thing to think and feel that it's possible to fail. But just think about it, what that means in regard to achievement of that goal. Just the fact that you have different reasons for which you say it is possible to fail if this, or it is possible to fail of that, or that. Like, it is possible to fail because I am lazy. It is possible to fail because I'm not able to protect my interests when I'm in contact with dominant people. It's possible to fail because there is economic crisis in the world or something like that. These all things are basically your prepared justifications to give up your goal and to fail. Just the fact that you believe that if this happened, I will not achieve my goal, or if that happened, I won't be able to achieve my goal, that really means that you are, in a way, predetermined to fail in regard to that. So being in a state in which you haven't eliminated inner conflicts that you have in regard to your goal before you start taking actions about your goal, or even before you start planning what actions you will take, really almost seals your fate about that, almost predetermine you that you will fail in that area. Just think about it. Like, if you feel that the failure is possible or probable, or that it's quite possible that I will not achieve my goal, if you are in that emotional state, instead of in a state in which you really, really want your goal, you're oriented toward your goal, you're optimistic toward your goal, you're enthusiastic about it, this is a state that you want to be. If you are not in that state, if you feel that it's quite possible that I will fail, or if you're doubtful that you might fail, that really means that in a moment when you encounter some really serious barriers, and you will encounter, if you have relatively demanding goal, you will have some barriers that you will confront. When you are confronting with them, in a moment when that happens, if you feel that it's quite possible to fail, then you will easily give up. So basically, instead of doing everything that you can and being really, really open to all solutions to that situation, if you feel it's possible to fail before you got there, you will really, really easily give up that goal. You will not do all the things that you can do in order to deal with that barrier that you are confronting. On the other side, even motivation is really, really problematic if you feel that you will fail in the end. If you will fail in the end, you shouldn't even try. Like, doing different things for achievement of that goal is waste of energy if you will fail in the end. So because of that, your motivation will be really, really bad for achievement of your goal. You will not be able to force yourself to do things that are necessary for achievement of that goal. So in a way, believing that you will fail, and this is main conflict that you might have about achievement of your goal, this is main self-sabotaging barrier that you have in regard to your goal, that almost guarantee that you will fail, because you will not be able to do necessary things for achievement of your goal. On the other side, just think about, like, there are different, you can see idea that you should transform your goal into goal achievement experience. So basically, when you're thinking about your goal, when you are visualizing your goal, when you are doing different things for achievement of your goal, you should keep your goal in form of experience, future experience that you will have. So basically, they say, okay, imagine yourself having that goal achieved. Describe all the things that you will see, that you will feel, that you will know in the moment when the goal is achieved. This is much better to have your goal in that form than in the form of just abstract goal that you think how to achieve. But if most of you have some contact with quick goals before that, and you might have noticed that we are not starting with that. I give you different really good reasons why it is a really good idea to have your goal in form of goal achievement experience. So imagine yourself achieving your goal, but we are not starting with that. This is not first thing to do. We are not saying, okay, what is your goal? Okay, imagine yourself having that goal achieved. But before of that, we start with elimination of inner conflict. And this is why, this is because there is that block that all people basically have in regard to their goals, because they are, whenever you start working on your goal, you're almost certainly started from a problem. You're started from the area in which you are in a way stuck. So basically, you cannot really start going toward your goal before you eliminate that stuckness, or basically these emotional conflicts that you have that are blocking you in achievement of your goal. On the other side, you have something like, okay, so basically, because of that, some rational or analytical approach to achievement of your goals that you have in most coaching systems basically will not work very well. It will not work very well because you shouldn't start planning for achievement or thinking about what are things that I need to do, and then expect yourself to take all necessary actions when you have problematic emotions that are in a way blocking you from achievement of that goal. On the other side, if you pay attention to other approach, like just pay attention to your internal states and everything will be fine, that you have in, I don't know, like law of attraction stories or manifestation stories or something like that, you can be pretty sure that you will also fail. Just pay attention to the following thing. If you watched some of, there is a company that's called ClickBank. They are basically connecting affiliates with people who are creating different systems, and in that way they are selling their things. One of the categories that they have is manifestation or something like that. You have a lot of systems about manifestation of law of attraction and things like that, that are sold through ClickBank. If you look at their videos, like videos that are presenting their systems, you will find that they pretty much have the same structure. They are describing a person who tried with law of attraction and didn't succeed, and you have failures, and then he had some really interesting. He met some really interesting guy who told him the secret, or he finds some old book that gave him the secret, something like that. But if you notice, all these systems are starting their story with story about how he was failing with the law of attraction. So why is that so? So that really means that most people who are interested in law of attractions have experiences that of the failure, or basically whole system that doesn't work. That system doesn't work because technique that you are using when you are trying to manifest things by visualization or auto suggestion or something like that, technique that you are using is not really effective. It doesn't work. Basically, it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? It doesn't work because you don't have a really good technique to eliminate conflict that you have about it. Technique they are using when they are visualizing their goals is really ineffective in eliminating conflict that you have about your goal. It doesn't work very well, and because of that, most people are not able to eliminate conflict that they have. Okay. So, to make long story short, a main thing to remember is, like, before you start working on a goal, in most cases, you are in a state in which you are stuck in a problem that is connected to that area. Because of that, before you really want to start working on a goal, you need to eliminate that. And that is something that needs to be done first. You need to eliminate conflicts that you have about it. You need to get yourself in the state in which you will be optimistic and enthusiastic about achievement of that goal. So basically, in a way, if you pay attention, there are two possible states that you can have in regard to your goal. You are either oriented toward your goal, enthusiastic, really ready to start taking actions about achievement of your goal, optimistic about outcome that you will have, or you are withdrawing from your goal, or you're being basically saying to yourself, if this happened, I cannot have my goal. If that happened, I cannot have my goal. Or basically, partly you are in a state in which you don't believe that you will achieve your goal. This is what we need to eliminate first. And this is what you will learn by, like in this program, we will learn that. Before we start working on elimination of inner conflicts, you really need to have your goals defined. So first thing that we are going to do will be set of exercises for setting your goals and testing the state that you are currently in about your goals. Okay. Do you have, okay, so basically things that we are starting to do will be starting with practical exercises that we are going to do. And the first of these will be a short and simple exercise about setting your goal, basically setting initial abstract goal that you will work on in this program. Okay, let me do this. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Somehow. Okay, sorry about that. I had a problem with sharing the screen. Okay, let's start with this exercise. So basically, in this exercise, we are going to set our goals. And first thing, look, this is really absolutely basic thing. Just think about things that you would like to achieve and write that down. Beside that, we'll do three different things. Set our goal, determine deadline for it, and define additional characteristics for achievement. So first thing to do is setting your goal. I suppose that you have already thought about it, so you know what you would like to have. So first thing in that simple thing is writing down what you want to achieve. Try to be as precise as you can, but don't think too much about it. This is just initial decision about area that we want to work on. Basically, you will see that a real setting of our goal will take place when we eliminate conflicts that we have about it, and that we will do when we master the technique that we'll use. But for the moment, in this moment, we are just deciding what is the area that you want to work and defining in some way outcome as precisely as we can. What is the outcome that you want to have, and what is the deadline for that outcome? First thing to notice here is what kind of goals you should choose for this program, and generally you can choose any goal you want. It is good idea to choose the goal that is not impossibly difficult. So that this is basically, I would say, difficulty should be between 6 and 8 or something like that. This should be demanding goal that is important for you, that you would like to have, that is attractive to you, but it shouldn't be impossible goal. The reason for that is not that impossible goals are not achievable, but that it is better to, while you are learning technique, it is better to have something that will not have really impossible barriers that you have about it before you master technique completely. And because of that, I would suggest that your goal should be between 6 and 8 or something like that in a difficulty, not absolutely impossible or something like that. Because in that situation, it is easy to confuse your lack of technical ability to use the system with barriers that you have, or negative emotional states that you are having connected to the goal itself, if it is so difficult. Okay, so another question here is, if you don't know what your goal is, sometimes people say that they don't know what their goal is. This is because, like we said, you have conflicts connected to the area of your goal. And because of that, sometimes you really don't know what you want. Actually, in most cases, this is you want something, but you feel that you cannot have it. And because of that, you think that you don't know what you want. In that case, just choose the life area that you would like to have improvement in, and then decide what is possible or obvious outcome that you would like to have in that area. What is a change that you would like to have in that area, and we will use that as your initial goal. It doesn't have to be really well defined, because, like we said, your goal is not really well defined before we eliminate conflicts that you have in that area. So write down what you want to achieve. Second, determine the deadline for achievement of that goal. In order for your goal to be really relatively precisely defined, you need to have a deadline for that. Third thing that you should do is to think about additional characteristics for your goal. What do I mean when I say additional characteristics? This is probably, in this exercise, this is probably the most important part. Most people basically consider some things as given or basically understood, but you shouldn't. You should define set of characteristics that are additional characteristics for achievement of your goal. For example, if I'm trying to find a new job, you might say, okay, I want a job that is better paid, and I would like to have such and such salary. Okay, this is a relatively natural thing. But actually, it is really easy to neglect some of the things that you shouldn't neglect. For example, you might say something like, if in your previous job, you were losing or wasting hour and a half in one direction going to your job, an hour and a half going back, you were losing three hours in a day just on traveling between your home and your work. So that could be additional characteristic that you would like to have additional. So I would like that job not to be further away from my house than 20 minutes of traveling. Or you can say something like, I would like to have such and such job, but I would like to have, like, additional characteristic could be to have paid car that is given to me by the company. Or you might say something like, I would like to have, in your previous job, you had a really problematic boss, then you will probably want to have additional characteristic that is connected to what kind of job or of boss you will have in that company. Or something like, I would like to have really good atmosphere in company, or basically company culture needs to be such that I am really stimulated in that, and I would like to feel creative when I'm working, and different things like that. So this is example from one of my clients some time ago. You have it on screen, and his characteristics were something like that. He was working on creation of his own business. First of this was, my personal income needs to be at least $5,000 every month. Not income of business, but personal income that as me as an owner of the company. In his previous attempt to do something like that, he was having like a lot of money going through the company and things like that, and he was investing a lot of money, and his most important thing was different things for a company, but he wasn't having a lot of money for, like, he didn't have stable income for himself in that whole situation. This is why he had that characteristic. His second characteristic was, I need to create this business in a way that will provide me a lot of free time to work not less than 4 hours a day, not more than 4 hours a day, to have free weekends and at least 2-week holidays every year. Because again, in his previous job, he was spending a really ridiculous amount of time on his job. And so this is, you basically understand what we are saying here. Think really, try to think hard about what are additional characteristics that are there. Think about what are possible, like, are there possibilities for me achieving that goal that are not optimal? And then from that, create or basically notice what are problems in that situation and then define positive characteristics that you would like to have. This is something that should be done nicely and well. Try to do that. Let's have something like, I don't know, 10 minutes for this. Think about additional characteristics that you would like your goal to have. Or basically, if you haven't completed first step, do that first. Like, write down what you want as your goal, what you would like to work on as a goal first. Second, define deadline for that. Third, define additional characteristics that your goal have to have in order to be really attractive as a goal for you. Okay, we will make 10-minute break, or basically, let's do that in next 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any questions? Like, let's see if we are able to deal with that. Probably, I don't know. It would be good idea to ask for question in with raising hand or something like that. I think that you have that option there. Okay. I pressed something that I shouldn't have pressed. I'm sorry about that. Nagesh.
Yeah. Hi, Philip.
Yeah.
I have written down a goal. So now when I write this goal, how would I know if it is practical? For example, I want to earn X amount of money
Okay.
in the next 2 months, say by the end of July, 31st/7/2026, from my business. I have written from my business.
Okay.
Okay, now how would I know if it is possible to achieve by that time? First question. Second question is, um I mean, how will I be sure if that will happen? And I mean, how would I feel that state is the thing? Because it looks, I won't say impossible, but it looks tough right now.
Okay, just one moment. I'm not quite sure that I'm dealing with with the Zoom as I should. So main thing to understand here is like first thing, like easy way here would be, okay, is it is difficulty less than 8 or not? If it is not, you probably shouldn't work on that here. But even if you choose impossible goal, when you are using technique as you should, what should happen is, like, when you start processing, in some moment you will have cognition that you should change the goal. Like, you can say that probably 30% of people change their goals while working, significantly change. Your every goal that we are working on is changing all the time as we are working. It is basically general rule. So this is true for everybody, not only for you or me. But actually this happens. 30% of people significantly change their goals. That is because, like, this is not magic system. This is not a system about magic or manifestation or things like that. This is system for modifying your behavior to become more in harmony with the universe. So basically, at the beginning, it is quite possible that you set the goal because it feels like a good goal to you. When you start processing it, in some moment, if it was impossible for you, or basically unoptimal, so you might notice that for example, you have a person who has problem to pay his rent before the end of the month, and he said, okay, like, I would like to have, I don't know, $50,000 in my bank before the end of the month, then I will be able to pay my rent. This is relatively logical thing, but actually this is pretty delusional. Like, because probably in the universe there are options and behaviors that will bring him to $50,000. But actually, from his viewpoint and his position in the games that he's playing, from his options that he's having in his situation, he like this is probably not optimal goal. But actually, like if he's really to use the system, then you should say, okay, this is what I want. This seems like a good goal to me. But just pay attention to when you start eliminating conflicts about it. Be be aware that one of the options that are happening, cognitions that your logical cognitions that you might have is to change that goal. You shouldn't change it if it feels good. It is something that you want, even if it is too ambitious. But actually, just pay attention to what happens when you start eliminating conflicts. For example, it is quite possible that you use. It's possible to fail. It's possible to fail. It's possible to fail. After sometimes you go, okay, like this is not perfect goal for me. But actually, like this is what you expect to happen. Like it is probably better idea to it is good idea to think about, okay, what is change in my reality that I would really like to have now. Like like for most things, what is absolutely out of your situation. Like this is like you can say, okay, I would like to have $100,000 before the end of the month. Okay, why not million? Okay, or why not 10 millions? Or why 1 billion? This will be nice. But actually, if this is playable in your situation or not. You should use something that is playable or something like that.
Is it possible to extend the timeline if?
Yes. In some situations, like this is one of the things that are characteristic is yes, but only extend your timeline or deadline for your goal, extend only after processing it. So in some moment you might get in state in which you will say, okay, maybe I should extend it. I will probably not achieve it. But then use again technique. Why is it possible to fail? Why is it possible? Process. And if the result of the process is realization that you should extend it, then do that. Don't extend because you are defeated. It feels that it will be easier for me to change it. Okay.
So just an additional question. When you say cognition, is that plain neutral thought coming and telling me that you should extend, or there is, I mean, how would I know? Because we have a lot of noise and thoughts going on. Yeah.
Actually, this is because that will be in this moment we are talking about it theoretically. But actually, when you are doing process, result of the process is change of emotional state, but only because reason why we are changing emotional state is that our understanding of situation increases. Like you have, okay, this is obviously so. Or you will have 1 or 2 or 3 processes in each of these will basically feels like I should probably change it, then you will know that you should change it.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Exit full screen. Okay. Cool. Anybody else? I have one or just one moment, I think.
Hello, I have one question. Hello,
yes,
Filip.
yes, please.
Yes. First, I would like to say that I am also trainer of path methodology from your father, and we done also transcendent in goal settings, and in transcendence, Givo said that it's important to set goals in present moment. Is it important also here or not?
Yes, if you pay attention, this is you will set when you get to the state and when you will create goal achievement experience, that will be in present moment. If you define your goal, if you create experience and don't separate yourself from experience of achieved goal, then some non-optimal things about goals happens. Basically, something that is called structural tension for achievement of your goals will disappear. So basically, having your goal duplicated in your mind will really destroy your motivation for achievement of the goal. And this is like, you can say it should be in the present tense, but it is present tense in the moment when you create it. But you separate yourself from that goal when you are operating with it. You know, if you don't do that, then your motivation for achievement will basically disappear.
Thank you. And one more question also I would like to ask, or maybe his opinion. Sometimes I feel, because I saw also other people who set goals, that also in spirituality, that they can misuse this and sometimes set goals to harm other people's. And ethical moment of this, I think, in my opinion, sometimes can be important, how to set to not harm someone, or to, I don't know, to set the goal maybe in some positive way to not have conflicts. So you can also define this, you can solve this with antagonistical motivation, with processing, but sometimes people can also enter into ego state of mind and start to play too much, and then lose spirituality in that sense. But also it's important to define what is spirituality and so on.
I think that in a way you are right, but this is in quick goals, it is covered in a way by creation of goal achievement experience. Like when you create goal achievement experience, you have a process in which you are in which you are modifying your goal achievement experience until it is really 10 out of 10 for you. If there are for you some ethical problems in that, they will appear there. And even if you don't deal with them right away when you are setting that, as you start working on your goal, if you have conflicts, they will appear as you start taking actions for achievement. You shouldn't worry too much about that. I think that people think that they're like, you should be ethical, but actually that there is nothing special in this situation, like about ethicality, about how much you're ethical about it. You should try to define ecologically okay goals, basically, that are not in conflict with your morality. But actually, I wouldn't worry about that too much, because as you start working, and if you are using a system and processing yourself, or any system, and if you are trying to keep yourself in harmony with yourself and the goal, it will basically demand a resolution, and you will change your goal if it wasn't ethical at the beginning.
Thank you.
Cool.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Daniel. Okay.
Hi.
Can we use the system for a negative manifestation by accident? For example, when I was doing my work, my goal, I was saying that I want to make money for 100 and 500 per month, and then I realized that I didn't mention the bonus that I have. So if I don't write correctly the goal and I get congruent with that goal, and I didn't mention something that I already have, or I put something negative by accident.
I understand. Like I understand what you are asking.
Thank you.
This is good question, but actually you shouldn't again worry too much about that. This is because your, like I said at the beginning, your goal is changing as the time passes. Basically, it will change with every process that you're doing. So when you realize 3 days or 10 days later that you should have add some additional characteristic in that, and they said, okay, this means such and such amount of money, but plus my regular income or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then just modify your goal. There is no, like, this is not, oh, I made horrible mistake. Like, no, time passes, your goal changes, and it should change. Natural thing for that is to change, and you should, in every moment when you realize that something is not perfect, you should change your goal. Like I said, this is like, as time passes, your goal will naturally change, and you should change it when you realize that it should have been changed. Maybe you can say, okay, I should have worked with more like smartly, like it should have been better if I has worked like if I understood that 10 days before, but actually this is not a big deal.
Okay, got it. Another question that I have is if we're going to use something like muscle tests to know if we're congruent with the results that we're getting, or it's not in the system, or that's optional.
Please tell me one more time. What is the question? Should you do that?
Oh yeah.
Or not?
For example, yeah, to muscle test the goal that we have, if we know how to muscle test, how to do it, and then do the process and see through muscle test if we are advancing or not. Or, I mean, your system includes that? It's optional, not necessary.
No. Like you, basically, you will know if you are advancing or not. Basically, what people don't understand, people treat negative emotions that they have as negative. But actually, your negative emotions are real in regard to goal, are really well-defined alarm system that shows you that there is something wrong. So, for example, if you set your goal, you started working on your goal, 10 days later, when you feel, well, a little bit of doubt again, that really means that unconsciously you have awareness that you need to modify something in your behavior. Something needs to be done. So basically, you don't have to use muscle testing for that. Your emotional state that you have in regard to your goal, or possible reduce of your certainty about achievement of your goal, is absolutely precise indicator that you unconsciously know that there is something there that you should pay attention to and that you should modify your behavior about. So basically, you don't have to do that. Like, just feeling how you feel about your goal, you will know if everything is okay or not.
Okay, yeah, got it. And the last question is about the deadline. For example, for me, sometimes it makes sense that probably in 2 years I can accomplish my goal naturally, but it's too much time. But what about if I say, oh, in 3 months, probably it looks like more difficult. But since the system is called quit goals, what should I do? Put it in the middle, put it like 1 year, because that creates conflict. I mean, in 2 years, it looks like it's possible. But in 2 months, it looks like, oh, I don't believe it.
Like, I would, first thing to do is, I would say, use common sense. Like, set a goal that seems like good. If if you are setting goal, then say, okay, if I am relatively effective and successful in that, what would be good deadline for that? And use that. Later, you might modify it. In a lot of situations, you might modify it because once, like, this is totally different game before you start, before you create plan how to achieve it, and before you start taking action, your perception of your goal is totally different. It might be like, even just when you start setting best case scenario and list of actions, you might notice that it was too short or it was too long. You will know that. So
Thank you.
You should use common sense at the beginning, and then modify when processing shows you that the processes that you do shows you that you should change.
Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. You're quite welcome. Okay, I don't see any other questions here. This is okay. So basically, in this moment, we have our goals set, and we have define additional characteristics for them. Now it's time to check what is the situation in regard to that. What we are going to do next will be work with what I call a test for your, we'll test our goal. You really want to know what is your current situation in the area of your goal. And this is why we are doing this test. And second thing, why it is a really good idea to do this is that we can later use the same test for processing. So basically, you can use the same test for finding additional areas of conflicts that you still have, and by eliminating them, like then you can use that test that we will do now to find additional conflicts and process them to find what are remaining sources of emotional charge that you have that should have been erased or eliminated. So this is what we are going to do. I will again share my screen. Here it is. Okay, testing our truth. So this test has two parts. First part is optimal states affirmation test, and second part is negative personal traits test. Optimal states affirmations. Optimal state affirmations are affirmations that basically define pretty well the state that you would like to be in the area of the goal. When that basically the state which is relatively or almost perfect for achieving your goal. And you can see these affirmations here. They say, first one is, I'm completely determined to achieve this goal by the deadline. Second, achievement of this goal is quite natural for me. Third, I'm completely optimistic about reaching this goal. I'm full of enthusiasm, so I'm enthusiastic. I know exactly what I must do in the following months to attain my goal. And the sixth one is I promptly do whatever is necessary to achieve my goal. So what we're going to do next will be, you will pay attention to these affirmations and you will rate the state that you are in regard to the goal and the deadline, and see what is your rating for these affirmations. For example, like you will rate it, for example, from -10 to +10. -10 being absolutely, this is absolutely not true for me. 0, something neutral in between, and +10, this is absolutely true for me. So, for example, if I would say that I'm really, really determined that I will achieve my goal, then your rating will be +10. If you're relatively determined, in a really good shape, determined about that, then you can say this is +7 or something like that. If you are so not determined, not determined, then you'll be about around 0. And after that, you will have, if you are totally, this is totally not true for you, then you can say my rating for that is -10. So basically what you're trying to do, check the affirmation, see how much is each of these affirmations truth about you in regard to that goal. Not generally in life, but in regard to that goal, how truthful this statement is for me. And rate it from -10 to +10. So, for example, if I'm not really optimistic, if I don't think that this will really happen, then I would say this is -3 or 4 for me. Okay, this is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. Let's do this. let's say 5 minutes.
Hey, Filip, will you be sharing this presentation with us along with the recording, or should we take screenshots and notes?
I didn't plan it, but I will send it to you, to anybody who wants it. I can send it to everybody if you want presentation.
Thank you.
Remind me later that to do that. Okay, are we ready to continue, or you need a little bit more time?
3 minutes more, probably. A little bit more of time, please.
Okay, cool. 3 more minutes. Okay, cool. This is first part of the test. Second part of the test is negative personal traits test. So basically, your question will be, which negative personal traits blocked the achievement of this goal in the past? Which negative personal traits I have, which blocked achievement of this goal in the past? So first define negative characteristics that you have that blocked the achievement of this goal. And the second part will be rate how each of these characteristics is pronounced in your behavior. So you will say, do it, for example, from -10 to 0. -10 is when this personal characteristic or personal trait is really, really, really pronounced in my behavior. I'm totally like that. Or if I'm lazy, then really, really, really lazy would be -10. Not being lazy at all would be rating 0. I don't have that negative characteristic at all. Opposite positive characteristic is 100% true for me. You could use any kind of rating, but actually it is easier if we are using the same rating, all of us. So first, think about negative personal characteristics. First, list them all that feels like relevant for you in this moment. Which of my negative characteristics blocked the achievement of that goal in the past, or basically negatively influenced my ability to achieve that goal in the past? And then rate them all. Here you have correct example of one of my clients had. That basically you have it here. First, list them, list characteristics. In most cases, you will have something like 3 to 5, 6 characteristics. If you have more, list them all. This is perfectly fine. But basically, find what are most important for your performance in that area in the past. Make a list first, and then rate them from -10 to 0. Okay, again, let's say, I don't know, 6, 7 minutes, 7 minutes. Okay. Any questions about this? Doesn't seem like something really.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. In the first test, when it says I am full of enthusiasm for
Okay.
this goal, I notice, I believe, because it's about money,
Okay.
and I believe came to me that it says, oh no, I'm gonna lose myself. What do you do with those beliefs? You write it down, those beliefs, you pay attention, you let them go.
Like there are basically there are two things that there are two basic things. Like first one is change of your belief. Like you might want to change belief if you notice that this is limiting belief and you want to delete it. This is one part. But actually here, like in regard to goal, we will deal with that with 10 fingers process. When we start using 10 fingers process, you will deal with that, but just in regard to your goal. On the level that stops being problem for a goal. There are two levels of that. Like I said, first one is eliminate problem for a goal. And this is really, really easy. That is something that should be done with one 10 fingers process. Later, you can work with different techniques for dealing with limiting belief that you find. And this is totally different part. So in this, we are focused on barrier that belief is for the achievement of your goal. We are not dealing with changing of your emotions, of your personal traits. You can do that, and you should do that. But this is different work than what we are doing here. But like as a problem for a goal, it should be eliminated in just one 10 fingers process.
Okay, yeah, got it. And the second one is I noticed that I feel a little disconnected to my body. I'm not very present in my body.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I'm reading that the affirmations with my body or with my mind. What could I do about it? Not very sure about. Sometimes I don't feel it. Just I think that probably it's intellectual what I'm doing. In others, I feel easily. Yeah.
Like I don't know what to tell you about that. We can discuss it, but this is not topic for this one. This is like I don't know. Like the first level is what is the problem of being not connected to your body, and then deal with that. Like not connected with your body doesn't have to be problem. Like there must be something that is problematic to that you should better define and process it. But actually, this is not for us here.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Last exercise for last thing that we want to do about this. Okay, now what we are going to do, we will use these things that we've done previously to assess our probability of achievement of our goal. So basically, question would be, look at the results of your tests 1 and 2, and then ask yourself, feeling this way and having these character traits, what is the probability of success for me? Like, what is the probability of me achieving that goal before the deadline that I set? And rate it from 0 to 100%. One more time, look at 2 tests that you created, like affirmations and ratings that you have about these affirmations, and negative personal traits. And then ask yourself, okay, person that has such goal and has such affirmations, these are states in regard to that goal, and these characteristics with these ratings, what is the probability for this that person will achieve his or her goal? And then assess that from 0 to 100%. Of course, this is pretty like this is not really precise in any way, but this is your feeling about that. Like check these 2 first tests and then see how do you feel? What is probability for person who has these ratings for these negative characteristics and these affirmations? What is the probability that that person will achieve his or her goal? Okay, let's do that. Like, okay, do it in minutes or 2 or 3 minutes. 2 minutes, let's say 2 minutes. Okay, when you do it, maybe put it in chat so that we see what are our results about this. Okay. Okay, here we have our ratings. And generally, you can notice that if you chose, are we recording this? Let me check. I'm recording this. Yeah. Okay. So if you have chosen difficult goal, this is really difficult. It really depends how difficult goal you choose. If you choose a really significant goal, something that will be real important change in your reality, you should have really bad result here. Like, this is because, like, if it is demanding, like, it is not really probable that you will achieve it. If you choose goal that is normal for you, for example, you are student and you have exam, and it is difficult exam, but actually this is something that you can achieve, then you can have something like, I don't know, 50%, 60% or something like that for achievement, 80%. But actually, for most life-changing goals, if your goal is something that will really change your reality, for example, like really change a job, you have problems with finding a job in the past, but now you want to change it and set a really ambitious set of characteristics, you will have probably low percentage for that. You will have, if you want to create new business on your own, you should have really low ratings for that, because these are really difficult things to achieve. Actually, what you should really understand is that you shouldn't worry. This is because of the things that I talked at the beginning. Like, for most people, you are stuck in previous failures that you have in that area. And because of that, you have these low ratings. So if you pay attention, ratings here are mostly, we have few which are 50 or 60 and 70 and 80, but actually most are 5, 15, 30, 25 again, and so on. So again, 45. What you should also notice is that if your rating is less than 50, if you say my rating is 45 or your rating is 30, if your rating is 30, I would say that your probability for achievement is 0. Like, basically, if you believe that you are more probable to fail than to achieve your goal, you are certain to fail. You basically, you won't be able to motivate yourself, and you won't be able to deal with barriers that will appear. If it is serious goal, barriers will certainly appear. If you feel that you will probably fail, you will certainly fail. There is no doubt about it. But what is good news here is that this is absolutely solvable. This is easily solvable. This is something that people easily solve. When I was doing, in the past, I was in the last 10 years, I was doing just online courses. I didn't do live courses. But while I was doing live courses, when you have 2-day course and you have 30 people that are participants, after 2 days, in the end, 20 people of these 30 have just pens at the end of the workshop. We do test at the beginning, we do test in the end. For affirmations, all 20 out of 30 people has pens. Few people has half tens, half knives, and remaining 2 or 3 people in a group or 4 have something big improvements in all, but they are not perfect. They have some 8s, some 9s, some 7s, some 4s, and something like that. You basically in 2 days, and this is workshop in which in 2 days we are learning system. We are mostly learning system. You are using it while you're learning, but actually you're learning, and not only that, but actually you are practicing system yourself. I'm not coaching anybody. I'm giving lectures. I do some demonstration with some of people, but actually you are all doing processes yourself. This is not something that somebody has done to you in 2 days or something like that. For these 30 people, you are ending 20 people ends in all tens, and all negative characteristics feel absolutely irrelevant for achievement of that goal. You cannot say in all cases that negative characteristics doesn't exist anymore, but actually you know that they don't influence achievement of your goal at all. 20 of 30 are in completely perfect state. So it is you can easily deal with that. And you can do it. Basically, I'm always emphasizing to people, I didn't coach you in this. I was giving lectures and things like that, but all the processes you did on your own. So this is something like I said, this is a result of your previous experiences, and this is why you, in some way, you are stuck in regard to that goal. I would say, if your ratings are 80% or 60% or something, you should have chosen more difficult goal. You should probably work, you can say, okay, I'm just learning the system here, I'm playing with that, but actually you should probably work on something that is more important for you than this. Okay. This is all I have for you for tonight. Next thing that we're going to do tomorrow will be dealing with 10 fingers process. First thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to finish dealing with this video of that. I will send you a recording of this meeting, and I will send you introductory exercises for 10 fingers process. They are really simple exercises, but it is a really good idea to do them. You have I will send you 3 exercises. They are something like, okay, look at this process that I sent you and try to understand it the best way you can. Second one is look at example that I've sent you. And the third one is something like use this process 3 times on your goal. What you should also notice here is that you do these processes once you start doing them the best way you can, and in a way that seems logical and natural for you, like treat this as this is how I understand this, and then do it that way. Don't worry if you understood it correctly. Don't worry if you're doing process as you should, because tomorrow we'll first like talk a little bit about process, then we will demonstrate it, then you will use it on your own, and then we'll talk about it again. So basically it will be absolutely clear when we start using it. Okay, any more questions?
No, everything is crystal clear.
Okay, great.
Thank you
great.
so much, Filip. Thank you, really. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Like it is like you can ask any questions, like regardless of if they're connected to like these exercises that we did are absolutely basic. So I don't expect questions about that. If you have any questions about anything else, feel free to ask, because this is one of the reasons why we are organizing this, is that so that you can ask questions.
So no homework for tomorrow, right? It's just
no. I will send you homework like first thing, like in the next half an hour. I will send you recordings, links to the recordings, and small homework. These are really simple exercises that you should complete before our meeting tomorrow. Okay.
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
thank you. Amazing
Okay.
day to day.
Okay. Bye. See you tomorrow.
See you then. Bye.
See you tomorrow.